Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feedstuffs 365. I'm Sarah Muirhead. Joining us today to talk about how pork checkoff funds are being activated to reach consumers is Patrick Fleming, National Pork Board's new Vice President of Demand Development. Welcome, Patrick. Thank you for joining us here today.
It's great to be here.
You got some exciting things to share, so we want to get into that. But before we do, we want to thank all of you for tuning in. If you have any questions for Patrick, feel free to post those there in the chat area on your screen. If you're joining us from social media, you can post your questions directly in those channels. So Patrick, start off by telling us a bit about yourself and your new role in serving America's pig farmers.
Well, let me tell you, it's probably the greatest honor of my life. I'm a returning pork board staff member. I worked for the pork board before. I took a 6-year hiatus and came back really to focus on the new consumer marketing campaign. As the Vice President of Demand Development, our goal is to increase demand for pork, and that's what I'm here for.
So briefly remind our audience how checkoff funds are used in the kind of the long-term growth strategy that's aimed at changing the way consumers perceive pork. Exactly what goes into all of that when it comes to checkoff funds?
Well, that's a really good question. Checkoff dollars really have been used and invested in order to really create a new foundation for how we're going to go to market with consumer advertising. Over the past couple of years, actually, the Pork Board and Checkoff has invested dollars into really defining and understanding where current modern consumers are when it comes to their attitudes about pork, how they use pork. And really right now, after our segmentation study, which we completed earlier this year, and launched to the industry, it's really about understanding where consumers are today, how they're using pork, and more importantly, how we need to communicate with them if we want them to get to buy more pork, right? Because really at the future, everybody wants consumers' attention. We want to be effective in how we communicate, and really the checkoff dollars that have been invested in all the consumer research we've done really lays the foundation for making us more efficient when we launch our new consumer campaign early next year.
Consumers do change over time and what they're looking for, I would assume. What's kind of their priorities right now when they go to the store and they're looking to buy some pork? What things are they looking for? What are their priorities?
I'm glad you asked that. I love talking about pork. So let's dive right in. One of the things that is kind of unifying for the whole pork animal, not just fresh pork, but processed pork, flavor drives the day, right? So across all of our segments, flavor really has come to the top as a reason why people engage with our products and really love our products. And that's wonderful because pork has more flavors than anybody, right? When you look at our portfolio of products, pork really does stand out from bacon, ham, sausage, fresh pork. We also have an advantage when you're talking about barbecue and culinary and cultural relevance, right? Because pork is one of the more prevalent proteins from around the world. We are an integral part of a lot of cultural and heritage dishes. So pork really from a flavor, cultural relevancy, and just love of pork, that's really what motivates people to buy pork. And that's what we're going to lean into when we talk to consumers in the new marketing campaign. It's about flavor.
Barbecue. Now I want barbecue.
I know. Wonderful.
Right? Let's have some barbecue. We should add some sandwiches here with us.
I know.
So there's probably different segments. I think there's like 7 different segments when it comes to pork and on the consumer side and what they're looking for. Walk us through those segments and tell me what they're all about, if you would.
Exactly. We have 7 segments. Our first segment really is our confident meat eaters. It's the largest percentage of U.S. households at about 20.3%. And these are the folks that are true carnivores. They're the people that eat meat, they eat pork. When you ask them about their attitudes to pork and pork for dinner and pork any time of day, they go, "We've got this," right? That's their mantra. We've got this. They're one of our core consumers, and they're the folks that are eating pork every day right now. Then, our next group is our tasty value seekers. They're the ones that are trying to stretch their food dollars in our economic times. They really appreciate the value proposition that pork brings and the flexibility that pork brings to stretching their food dollars and, more importantly, providing flavor, either as a main protein on the plate or as an ingredient. So really, they shine with pork. And then our next group is our culinary adventurers. These are the foodies. These are the people that really like to experiment with pork, always want to impress their neighbors with new recipes and new meals, and really talk about food a lot. They're up for the challenge. That's their mantra, right? You give them a new cut of pork, or you give them a new recipe for pork, and they will experiment with it. And then, of course, they will make it their own. Then, of course, we have the next segment, which is the mindful choice makers. They want to know more. They're the ones that are looking for some nutritional messaging. Their food is a conscious decision for them. They want to feed their family the best, healthiest food they have, and nutritious. And pork, of course, is very nutritious, so we fit right in there too. And then you got simple feeders. Simple feeders are people that are just looking for the convenience aspect of pork and really are trying to just get a meal on the table. They're the grab and go, the snack, the people that really just want to get a food on the table. And of course, pork has a whole variety of convenient options for them too, so we even meet that need. We have the next group, which is the meat minimizers. They're folks that are looking to reduce the meat intake. Not really the focus for us at this point, but they're looking for alternatives. Pork there can be important because pork adds so much flavor just as an ingredient, right? When you look at the flavor pork can bring as an ingredient, even for people who are looking to reduce meat, pork has a place there. And then our last group is cultural celebrators. That's connections that matter most is this group. This is where pork has a heritage and really that cultural connection back to family, country, ethnicity that really pork plays well. I mean, there's a reason why pork is the #1 protein in the world, because it has so many places in the world where it is the preferred protein and has that regional connection that brings them back to family and heritage and cultural tradition.
So you and I are here talking about it, but what other things are being done to connect the value chain with this research that the Pork Board has done? How are you getting the word out there?
We launched at our retail advisory committee meeting the segmentation back in March. We've had 77 or more, actually more than that, meetings since then, really to go share the segmentation out with the industry. So packer partners, retailers, processors, really trying to share the fact that now that we understand our consumers, everybody has a role to play in the value chain of reaching their consumer and effectively converting that consumer to a pork purchaser. So we've been sharing the word anywhere and everywhere, and we keep sharing it every day.
Do you see people change, consumers change between any of those segments? Are there, is it very flexible, so to say, or is it pretty, this is how it is, and people don't change once they're in that segment?
Well, I qualify as a confident meat eater. I tend to be older. I've got this. When you give me pork, I can make pork 100,000 different ways. That's probably a claim I can't back up, but at least 100 ways. But most of us on a busy Thursday night become simple feeders, right? I mean, people that get home late from work and just want to get dinner on the table. So sometimes we fluctuate between the segments because, life is busy. Convenience sometimes moves to the top, and that simple feeder group really was where convenience is important. That's why we want to make sure when we do our messaging, we go across the segments. So whether you're looking for flavor, you're looking for nutrition, or you're looking for convenience, which are our top three, we have products that are available to meet them needs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anything else you want to share? Anything else we should know about the research or just consumer and segmentation in general?
I think this is a wonderful opportunity for pork, right? I mean, when you go out and talk to consumers about pork, what you realize is there is a true passion and love for our product. And from the National Pork Board perspective, we really like to lean into the unabashedly, proud to be pork. We have so many flavors to offer. We have so many products that fit consumer needs. We have so many products that people engage with on a daily basis. Pepperoni, sausage, ham, bacon, all delivering incredible in flavor experience. And we don't always get credit for that, but we're going to take credit for that in the near future, really to bring people to that franchise that when you want flavor, what you're really asking for is pork.
Well, and you folks are always developing new flavors and testing new things too in your kitchens there, I would imagine.
Yes. I mean, you look at everything that pork keeps doing. And, the other day I walked into a grocery store that had a whole wall of flavored chicharrones, right? So now pork, fried pork skins, which are now snacking, right? So pork keeps expanding into its day parts and its usage. It's just fascinating because we deliver on the core promise. When you buy pork, you buy flavor.
Very good. We look forward to hearing more about this in the future. Patrick Fleming, Vice President of Demand Development for the National Pork Board. Thank you so much for your time and insight here today, Patrick.
Thank you. It was fun.
Likewise, we appreciate all of you who have tuned in to watch our segment. Reminder, you can view all interviews with a number of others at Feedstuffs 365. Go to feedstuffs.com to access those. For Feedstuffs, I'm Sarah Muirhead.